I'm sure many of you by now have heard about this story. Empire star Jussie Smollett brutally attacked, hospitalized in possible hate crime. Now, what I find fascinating about how all of this is being reported is that many of these news outlets are giving it a definitive headline, saying he was brutally attacked and he was hospitalized in a possible hate crime. We actually don't know what happened. There's no evidence. So for these news organizations to come out straight away saying he was brutally attacked it's wrong. It is. And there's a reason why I don't jump on stories like this, but as a Chicago native who used to hang out at 2 a.m. at the location he described as the point of attack, I took interest in this story and wanted to opine on it, even though I understand most of the facts haven't come out. Let me start by saying I doubt this story. I seriously doubt it. I lean heavily towards I believe this is fake, but it is entirely possible this man was victimized, and that's horrible if true. But I don't want to necessarily say, like, I'm not making this video to call the man a liar or anything like that. We need to wait for evidence. But there are some interesting things that have emerged that I think need to be brought up. If you're not familiar, this man claimed that it was, I think, 2 in the morning, and he was eating at Subway or something, when 2 guys grabbed him, punched him numerous times, threw a rope around his neck, and then fled. Many people reported them as wearing MAGA hats. That is not true as far as we can tell right now. Some people started reporting they yelled, "This is MAGA country," which is the craziest thing I have ever heard as someone from Chicago, that someone in Chicago would actually yell that, or that someone in the city would actually think that's true. Just seems ridiculous to me. But as it turns out, in the initial police report from this man, he did not tell the police that happened. It was only after TMZ reported it that the police contacted him. I believe the police contacted him for an updated statement, and then he said, yeah, they did yell MAGA country. So the initial reports, this whole story there's no footage of any attack. The only footage the police found so far is of this man sitting in a Subway eating sandwiches. That's it. They have footage, so let's read the story, and then I want to point out something about the location of his attack and why I do not think it is likely. And look, man, I'm not somebody, I don't like making videos about these kinds of things, but as a Chicago native, I just have such extreme doubt that I had to do it, right? I typically wait for the facts. So again, this could be true, and there's good reason to believe that somebody would target him, right? He got a letter in the mail. Maybe it's real. I'm not sure. We don't know what happened. But the point is, yeah, he's a famous guy, and people are crazy. I get death threats too. I get people threatening to dox me. So I mean, I've been physically attacked by Antifa. Is it possible some people have sought him out and attacked him? Absolutely, absolutely. But the point is, I doubt it. So let's read the story. They say police are investigating an attack on Empire star Jussie Smollett after it was confirmed that an earlier threat in the form of a letter was made toward the actor. Chicago police confirmed to ABC News that the FBI is assisting in the investigation of Tuesday morning's brutal attack. Small was hospitalized earlier today in what authorities are investigating as a possible hate crime. The 36-year-old Empire actor was in Chicago early Tuesday walking outside when someone shouted racial and homophobic slurs at him, police said. No, I'm sorry. Police said, he said. We don't have evidence, okay? This is really frustrating about ABC and how these news outlets are reporting this, because so far the only thing we know is that this man said this is what happened, and we have no proof any of it happened, and the only video footage we have shows him sitting in a Subway restaurant eating sandwiches. They say 2 men attacked the actor, poured an unknown chemical substance on him, possibly bleach, and wrapped a rope around his neck, Smollett told police. The rope was still around Smollett's neck when he was found, officials said. Okay. He was found at his friend's apartment 45 minutes later. He still had the rope around his neck 45 minutes later. Is that not weird? Let's keep reading. Smollett told police in a follow-up interview that the suspects yelled MAGA country during the attack. Yes, a follow-up interview. Again, when he first made the report to the police, he did not tell them this. TMZ reported it, and then the police asked him, and he said yes. That's weird. Authorities have obtained a surveillance image of Smollett inside of the Subway restaurant before the attack, but do not have any video of the assailants, officials said. Smollett was treated at a nearby Northwestern Memorial Hospital, police said, adding that they are taking the investigation very seriously and treating it as a possible hate crime. He did receive a letter. There are images of it. The FBI is investigating. They say detectives are currently working to gather video, identify potential witnesses, and establish an investigative timeline. The victim is fully cooperating with investigators, and we ask anyone with information about this incident to contact area central detectives, and they have the number and the information. And then they talk about the cast and the crew speaking out and things like that. So it should be clear to absolutely everyone, should this story turn out to be accurate, that it is a horrifying and unjustified assault on an individual who deserves nothing but respect and the respect of his freedoms and liberties, and crime, these people should be punished, straight up. Straight up where we are right now. Facts, we have none. Literally none. There's another source that I want to pull up, and there's a reason why I use ABC News first, because CWB Chicago is a local crime blog. They're not as big as ABC News, but I don't think that's reason to doubt the veracity of of their statements. But ABC News already slanted the story, and so I wanted to find something that wasn't mainstream to try and suss through what's actually going on, because I'll point this out again. ABC News, I'll just show you. They've reported this definitively when we don't know what happened. They say he was brutally attacked. Empire star Smollett brutally attacked, hospitalized in possible hate crime. No, what we know is that he was hospitalized in a possible hate crime. That's fair. However, we don't know if he was brutally attacked. He just said he was. And until we have evidence of what happened, I don't think it's fair to just immediately assume anybody who makes any claim. If the police can pull up evidence, if some people are brought to justice, then good. Otherwise, I think it's extremely dangerous if we start running around and trying to make changes to law and make calls for certain kind of activism, riots even, simply because someone claims something happened. It could be really dangerous. But when we look at the local crime blog, this is not a mainstream source. They frame it in a very different way. They say, TV star told cops to turn off their body cameras before taking his hate crime report. Yes, ABC News, I believe the Chicago Sun-Times also reported this. He did ask they turn off their body cameras. They say, Chicago police just announced they have still not found any video of any suspects, nor have they found any video of any vehicles in the area of the reported attack. Detectives have expanded the search area for cameras to be able to provide photos of the alleged assailants in this attack. CPD chief spokesperson Anthony Guglielmi? Gee, wow, that's it. I can't pronounce that, sorry. We are continuing to broaden our search. A source familiar with the investigation told CWB Chicago that the rope was thin clothesline straight out of the package. The Sun-Times report that the rope didn't necessarily resemble a noose, as has been widely reported. Let's make sure we pull that one up. The TV actor who reported being attacked in Streeterville early Tuesday by men who made racist and anti-gay comments while tying a rope around his neck and throwing bleach on him asked Chicago police officers to turn off their body cameras after they arrived to take his report, according to a CPD source. Jussie Smollett, the 36-year-old star of Empire, told police that he was attacked near his friend's high-rise apartment while walking to get food at a Subway at 521 North McClurg Court around 2 a.m. Crime victims sometimes ask the police to turn off their cameras when officers enter private residences, a police spokesperson says. Now, here's where they bring up some statements. Now, listen. I don't think that just because this is Alternative, a local crime blog, they are more or less trustworthy than ABC News. As we can see, ABC News already framed the story in a definitive sense, which I believe was wrong to do. Keep in mind, they may be framing the story in exactly a similar way, and this is why it's really hard to figure out what the truth is, right? You see how they headline it? They title this, TV star told cops to turn off their body cameras before taking crime report. That immediately calls him into question, the way they framed it. But then they go down and they mention that a police spokesperson says this is actually really normal because they're going into a private residence. So the main point is we've got our mainstream, framed narrative and our alternative framed narrative. But here's what CWB says. Smollett was still wearing the noose around his neck when police arrived at his friend's apartment nearly 45 minutes after the attack. According to a police spokesperson, police took the rope as evidence. That's really weird. Why would he just leave the clothes, whatever, on his neck at his friend's apartment? Chicago police denied an ABC report that the FBI had taken over the investigation. The federal agency is looking into a separate incident in which a threat letter was mailed to Smollett. Smollett was said to be reticent to file a police report even after police arrived. Police were summoned to an apartment in the 300 block of East North Water Street after a man who identified himself as a friend of Smollett's called 911 and said that a well-known person had been assaulted and battered after leaving his apartment, and they wanted a report. The apartment building is directly across the street from the Sheraton Grand Hotel's main entrance. The block also has a lower level similar to Wacker Drive for parking and service access. This is what I wanted to point out. I used to hang out here at 2 a.m. Why? Because me and my friends are skateboarders, And the best time to street skate in Chicago is at 2 a.m. when no one is there and there are no police and everything is shut down. You have free run of downtown Chicago. The whole downtown area like shuts down at like 6 p.m. It's really annoying, especially if you work in downtown Chicago. You know what I'm talking about? There's no bathrooms literally anywhere. It's a nightmare. But what we would do is, when I was maybe 15, between like 15 and 17, I mean, we still went street skating when I was like older than 18, but we actually just drove further away and like went and explored more. But from like 15 to 18, we would leave super early in the morning. We would get on the Orange Line, or maybe I don't think the Orange Line, because I think the Orange Line would shut down. But we would take we would take the Orange Line to downtown Chicago, and we would skate like maybe at like 11 p.m. until 2 or 3 a.m. and then go home, go to sleep. So we were there, and that's why I really, really doubt this story, because Chicago is a ghost land, a ghost town at night. Seriously. And the area that he's described, I'll put up on the map for you. It's the location is called the Clock. It's this big clock that's on the ground you can see from overhead. It's nothing but rich people. It's nothing but rich people and private security, and we'll talk about that. They say EMS services were declined by the friend. Smollett later took himself to Northwestern Memorial Hospital. During his first conversation with police, Smollett did not say the attackers made MAGA comments, a police spokesperson said. That detail was published by TMZ, and Smollett mentioned it during a follow-up interview with police later in the day, according to the spokesperson. Contrary to widespread reports, the alleged attackers were white. Smollett has not identified the attackers by race because the men were masked and wore gloves, according to police. Police reviewed video from dozens of public and private surveillance cameras in the Streeterville area. As of 2:45 p.m., they had not seen any images of the attackers. Investigators have found footage of Smollett alone inside a Subway shop. Police are asking anyone who has video of the 300 block of East North Water Street recorded between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. on Tuesday to contact them. Okay, now let's hop over to a map of Chicago. This is the clock. You can see it. You can see 2, 3, 6, 9. All right, it's supposed to be 12. Oh, okay. The reason you probably can't see the 1 is because me and my skateboarder buddies, well, I don't want to say me because I'm too young for this, but skateboarders have waxed these ledges up. That's why they're brown, because it is a famous skate spot. Okay, skateboarders travel when they come to Chicago. This is one of the places you want to go. It's an amazing place to skateboard. We zoom out. This is 300 East North Water Street. Yes, I would hang out here at the wee hours of the morning and film, as do many skateboarders. This whole area is a ghost town. Desolate. Okay, it's a park. It's wealthy. It's right by NBC Tower, which I believe is just right here. So this is mostly industry. The Sheraton is here. It is extremely unlikely, in my experience, growing up in Chicago, hanging out here in the wee hours of the morning. There's nobody here. But I'll say this. This guy is famous, okay? I get death threats. I wouldn't be surprised if he did too. He probably gets more than I do. He's more famous than I am. So it's entirely possible people were seeking him out, and that's why he got attacked. I just think it's really, really weird that in Chicago, which is like left, it's blue, as blue as they come, somebody would yell anything about MAGA country, all right? So I'll put it this way. I doubt the story because of all of the things I just read. He changed it, he didn't mention MAGA until after TMZ reported it. He was wearing the rope around his neck when the police showed up 45 minutes later. He didn't want to file a police report. He refused EMS services. Those things are all not there's good reasons for all of those things. Why would he want an ambulance? He can just get in a car and drive himself to the hospital, right? It makes sense. But why would he be wearing the rope around his neck when the police are is weird. It's also really strange to me, the idea that anyone in Chicago or nearby would be yelling anything about Trump, unless it was somebody who hated him for some other reason and they just wanted to, make this, like, if you wanted to beat this guy because you didn't like him, you could yell MAGA country and it would change the story and get people off your back. But more importantly, this is a long video, police only found footage of him sitting in a subway by himself. So at this point, I think it's absurd to believe this is true. But I will point out, we're not at a point where we should be believing anything. The fact that ABC and all these other outlets and far-left activists are using this and pushing this far and wide, it's wrong. And look, I would not be surprised if it turns out it was wrong. I absolutely would not. But I just want to point out, as someone who has skateboarded in downtown Chicago, all of these areas are like hardcore locked down and hard to go anywhere near. In fact, I mentioned that we go and skate at 2 in the morning on purpose so that we can just, like, no one will bother us. But you still have private security everywhere. In fact, when I was, I think, 17 or 18, I was arrested by private security in downtown Chicago for skateboarding. So if you're going to tell me that some crazy attack happened in this area where I used to hang out, I used to hang out this whole area, much bigger than just the clock tower. There's skate spots all throughout downtown Chicago. But if you're going to tell me that in these areas where we have to show up super early in the morning to avoid bothering people and getting yelled at, and I still ended up getting arrested when I was a teenager, that someone got attacked in this really high profile manner, and they haven't found footage of it, when this whole area is surveilled to an absurd degree, I'm sorry, I'm out. I'm not going to believe it. I don't know, man. But I'll end by saying this. We don't know what happened. We don't. And I don't want to, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying this thing sounds really strange to me as someone who's from Chicago. Yeah. So anyway, stick around. I got another video coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel and on my main channel, youtube.com/Timcast at 4 p.m. I'll see you then.